Hi, I'm Jackie Hayes, and you're listening to Here's What I Learned. On this podcast, we pull back the curtain on the ins and outs of running a coaching business. Join me as I talk with life and business coaches about the behind the scenes of running a successful coaching business. If you need help with the business side of your coaching business, these conversations are for you. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy.
Again, debt is a neutral circumstance. It's a tool. It's like fire. It's like water. It can do amazing things if you're, yielding it with power and paying attention. It can do very horrible things.
Today's episode is with money mindset coach Serena Hicks. Serena is a biracial biz coach for intentionally inclusive coaches who know that their making, having, and stewarding big, happy money is actively changing the world. Serena began her career at MTV News in New York City in 2000. After earning a Daytime Emmy Award, as a sponsored content producer at the Tyra Banks Show, she left her corporate job to freelance and then began her coaching practice in November 2019. Since then, she has created a 7-figure coaching biz and is working on her first 7-figure cash collected calendar year in 2022. Well, thank you so much for being with me today, Serena. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
I can. Hello. Thank you for having me, Jackie. I am Serena Hicks. I am the Big Happy Money mindset mentor / coach. I love coaching on Big Happy Money. It's a concept that I developed. I did not create the happy money, but then I was like, let's do big happy money as it pertains to money mindset, which is really, if we're just going to be honest, it's about abundance versus scarcity at every opportunity. And, if you have, I'm going to make up numbers. If you have $5,000 in bills, big happy money means then you should be making 10. If you have $10,000 in bills, I'm like, let's figure out how you can make 20,000 in big happy money so that you can absolutely cover your expenses from a place of ease, like not just barely making it. And yeah, it's literally abundance instead of scarcity at every opportunity, knowing there's more than enough clients, that you already have more than enough information to be valuable to some client somewhere, to constantly sort of look at the glass as half full and function from that enoughness, as opposed to being like, oh no, here's all the things that could go wrong, which is mostly mostly how most of us were raised, which no shame. It's just like our ancestors survived so that at this time on this planet, we could do what they could not, that we could thrive on a whole new level.
Well, and I know that you and I share the background that we had parents that were working class, blue collar, not blue collar, laborers and things along those lines.
Yes.
And so, dad was either laid off or on strike every summer. So there was always this waiting for what's this summer going to be? Well, it's not going to be strike because it's not the union negotiations this year. So yes, very much raised on that scarcity mindset.
My dad is a truck driver. He worked for the same Yellow Freight trucking company. Shout out to them. He was with them his whole life. He got out of school, went to the Navy for a year. He joined Yellow Freight. He stayed with them. And I can't speak of how they function at this time, but he was like, it's a good company and therefore I'm going to stay with them. They're going to stay with me. But absolutely a very, very, very much a foundational, you take what you get and you say thank you. And again, I think all of our ancestors were surviving so that we could honor them by taking advantage of the ways they set us up to flip the script or massage it into a different place. Because I respect my dad. I appreciate what he did. My mom is an occupational therapist. And for those who know, it's sort of like physical therapy. And basically you go to school, you do your rotation, and then there's just always a job for you. That's it. So there's no you just always have the job, but it's also always a job. To this day, my mom works basically 6 days a week. And she's really happy to say she owns her own business, but she makes me crazy because she's an owner operator who's always working on paperwork at night or on the weekends. And I'm like, that's not really big happy money per se. I'm happy that she's happy, wink, wink, but I'm exhausted watching her schedule.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm happy she's happy. But if you know an occupational therapist, they all love what they do. They all just have hearts the size of the moon. But I would like my 72-year-old mom as of today to not work all the damn time.
Yeah, no. Well, before we go digging deeper into Big Happy Money, I start these podcasts out with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And the first one is, what movie, no matter how many times you have seen it, if it is on TV, you will stop scrolling through whatever and you will sit and watch
Pacific Rim. It's Pacific Rim. I'm like mad. I was talking about this the other day. I'm like mad that there's not basic TV anymore. Cause now, it's like we all have all of the apps and whatever, but I'm like, you know what I miss? Like when Pacific Rim, if I find Pacific Rim and some of you guys are like, does she mean that weird sci-fi movie? The answer is yes, she does. That's exactly the one. But like anytime that came on, it's like, well, whatever was happening is no longer happening. I'm going to watch this until it is over. And then I'm going to hope it's repeating.
Okay, so that was not the one that I thought you would say of all the movies out there.
Oh, I love Pacific
What
Rim.
is it about that particular movie that you love so much?
So much. Thank you for asking. By the way, you guys, this could be the whole podcast. Okay, so first of all, Charlie Hunnam is hot, and I enjoy watching him at all times. We'll just start there. Secondly, I love the mind melding and I love the symbolism of like people being more than people, like as in something bad is coming to the planet Earth. And so we like pull our heads out of our ass on some level to come together, different countries, everyone's like, okay, this is how we do. But I love the idea of it takes two people to drive I just forgot what they were called, which is hilarious, but it takes two people to drive, meaning it's more than any one person can do alone. And as a coach, this gives me chills. I'm like, yeah, that's about right. None of us can do everything on our own. And that's for any service provider. But likewise, it's like coaching is just seeing the blind spots. And someone once said, and I still love it, like the best brain surgeon on the planet can't operate on their own brain. There's a lot of stuff we can do, and there's some stuff we cannot. We need someone outside of us to help us. The best brain surgeon in the world cannot operate on their own brain. There's no certain level of smartness where you can function solo. And so I love Pacific Rim because I love the partnership. I love the so many different versions of symbolism as far as like, two people are able to do so much more together. And then I also I think there's a real love story in there. So Charlie Hunnam's character, spoiler alert, y'all should just watch the movie anyways, but like his partner, if you will, like she's a woman and her sort of stepdad, if you will, who loves her very much and she loves him very much, is like she should not be in battle, so on and so forth. But Charlie sees her and he sees her as his partner, his character, excuse me. Like she's not a woman he's going to save. She's literally the partner he's going to like save the world with. And spoiler alert, that's what happens. And I am here for this kind of love and romance. He does not save her any more than she saves him. They do save each other, but they're also really meeting in true partnership.
So none of that creepy stalking until she will say yes to me type thing?
Yeah, none of that, and none of this like, I'm going to rescue her or I'm going to make her better. Like she's plenty better. He's the one who advocates for her. It makes me think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the RBG, her husband. Like I love their story. If you've ever watched their documentary or whatever, like he saw her, and this is decades before any version of that was normal in our culture. And he was not intimidated by her. He was proud. He was like, check it. She's so smart. Check it. She's hot. Check it. She's changing the world. I'm in on it.
All right.
That's
so
why.
Second question.
Yeah.
If you were to audition for The Voice, what would be your audition song?
Oh my God. I'm going to have an anxiety attack based on your question. I cannot sing. I can
can't
do
tell
a
either,
lot of
so.
things. Okay. So
I pretend that if I'm going to audition, that I would actually be able to sing. So if you could sing.
All right. If I could sing, I would sing Florence and the Machine's Shake It Out, like a cappella.
Good one. That's a
Thank you.
one.
I do like me some Florence and the Machine.
That is a good choice.
Yeah.
And last one, what is an intentional thought that you're currently working on trying to shift?
Yes. There's so many, but the one that I'm playing with the most is I am a 3 million plus sign coach already. At this point, I am 917,000 cash collected in business, not in this calendar year 2022, but in business. So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely a million plus coach. Like that I can fully, which is so funny because when I first started that number saying I'm a million plus coach, it felt like also I can walk on the moon. But I was like, whatever, we're just going to practice. And now I'm like, no, that's definitely going down in the next couple of weeks, like factually, but it already feels energetically like I think 900,000 is a million. So now I'm practicing I'm a 3 million plus because that feels audacious and juicy and approachable, but I'm also very clear I'll need to practice that for a few months. Like that doesn't feel 100% real. I would not bet on it at this hour. But I would bet on it this week because it's like, it's going to happen. But if you were like, bet your life, like, I'm like, no, maybe not that.
So you're working on that thought. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a coach, where you started and where you are currently?
So it's so fun because every time I tell this story, I feel like there's new stuff that like, I don't think I've shared this before. So I was talking with my group today about decisions and the power of decisions. And if you know me, Big Happy Money, part of that is proper pricing and getting paid. Meaning I don't care if I like win the lottery or you win the lottery tomorrow, we still need to charge our clients so that it's a form of consent and appreciation and shows them what's possible. And likewise, if they're going to charge for goods or services, they need to be in the practice of that's how we function. So the part that I don't think I've shared before is that I've always followed Martha Beck and just thought she was the bee's knees. And I had a couple of coaching interactions before the one that I always talk about. But they were the kind of coaches who, good people and good coaches, but like, all right, I'll meet you at Whole Foods for your lunch hour. And it was like, how much do you charge? 100. And I was always broke. So I was like, oh, I don't have 100. And it was like, we'll do it for 20. So I'd like meet at Whole Foods and do like a $20 an hour, which I don't want to say is valueless because that would not be true. I will say the coaching that changed my life that I'll talk about next that everyone knows about is the 5K for 6 weeks that I did not have money for. I will explain if you're new to me and are like, what is she talking about? The point is I was all in. In order to make that happen, I chose to, but I had to decide I had a whole new future waiting for me. I had to decide that this was going to be the hardest thing I ever did. Everything else would be easier. And especially looking back, I'm like, my God, there were like 3 or 4 I would say really great coaches, but who like just charged like $40 and let's just do a one-off. And I'm like, I didn't get so much out of that coaching because it was just sort of like me trying another thing. Just sort of like if I go to the store and get a new lip balm. If it works, great. If it doesn't, nobody cares. And that's like, that's a really different energy than say like enrolling in a, like when I enrolled in my $21,000 coach certification program. I had a real different level of commitment when I was like, this is a lot of money. This is literally, that was more than twice my college education. Like college cost me 10 and here I am as a grown woman already making money giving you 21. All right. So I showed up to all things. Shockingly, I consumed the info because I was like, dude, I'm spending a lot of money. I'm serious. I think you know this. One of my peers, friends, and clients, Doreen Corba, always says, when we pay attention. And I really believe in that. So the part that everyone already knows is that I woke up at 40. My big brother had passed away. He was 47. It was cancer. It was not a clean Hallmark movie sad. It was messy. It was hideous. It was family acting crazy. And, I was like, I'm 40. I'm perpetually single. I'm over drinking. I'm overeating. I'd just been pushed out of a job. I did not have any savings to speak of. And I was like, it's incongruent. Like, I have this really cool work history. I started at MTV News. I got a degree in public relations from the University of Texas at Austin. I have good people. I am good people, not perfect. But it just didn't add up. How did I end up here? Like, there has to be more for me. And then at the same time, a friend's boyfriend wanted to hire me to help him with his social media marketing, which is sort of something I got paid for, sponsorship, that whole thing. So I remember thinking, I don't know what to charge him. I'll just do it for free. And I connected the dots between I'm broke. I'm usually just over broke. This might be related. This whole working for free and constantly helping. Like, this is my friend's boyfriend. And by the way, I love her. We used to live in New York together years ago, but like, we don't talk. We're not besties. Like, so, it's like, maybe I have this habit of what should we call it? Overgiving? Should we call it over caretaking? Should we call it taking care of everyone except for me? Perhaps. And maybe something about this, like, no, it's okay. You don't have to pay me. I'm fine. While I'm white knuckled and terrified about how I'm going to pay the next bill, secretly by myself and feeling shameful about that. Maybe there's something to be unlocked there. So I literally got on Google, bottle of wine in, and Googled, how do you know what to charge someone? That was my Google query. How do you know what to charge someone for services? And I ended up on a coach's website and it said, I went through the application, I dove into her website and I was like, this could be really helpful. And then, it said 5K for 6 weeks. That's where my rates start. And I closed the entire laptop. I couldn't even, like, I closed out of the Internet Explorer. I closed the laptop. I put it away. I was shook. I was like, that's obscene. I literally did not have $2,000 to my name, nor did I have $2,000 of credit available, nor did I have a job. Therefore, an opportunity to apply for more credit. And by the way, I needed to be out of my apartment in a couple of weeks because I'd already given notice. And then when my brother died, I was like, can I stay? And they were like, no, we already rented your place. So I'm unemployed with 2 cats at 40. So much awesomeness happening at once. So I was like, $5K for 6 months was the equivalent of like $2 million cash to me today. Like, could I do it if my life depended on it? Yes. Do I know how? No. It's going to involve some creativity and some magic and miracles. So 2 weeks later, I remember thinking like, that's obscene. And then 2 weeks, and I was also like, I'll just figure out how to do it on myself. Like, she had the little freebie worksheet. And so I printed the freebie worksheet and I did all the freebie stuff and it was helpful. And 2 weeks later, I hadn't gotten a proposal to this guy. And granted, he knew my brother died. So he was very happy to work with you. Send me a proposal when you're ready. But I was like, 2 weeks have gone by. Nothing has changed. Perhaps me doing things exactly by myself is not working for me. Perhaps we should call a professional. Perhaps that will be the way to get farther faster. And so I did the consult. Still no idea how I'd pay. Like, just was like, but let's see. Like, maybe, I don't know. And I remember tuning into my body in the conversation and recognizing, like, I like how powerful I feel. I know how magic and miracles work. I know that, like, we decide something is going to change and then it changes. First we make the decision, then we figure out how, then we figure out what's next. And so I just was really clear. I was not confused that she was magic, if you will, but I knew I felt like magic in conversation with her. And therefore it was like, this is a tool that will get me farther faster. And so she was like, 5K pay in full. And I explained, like, listen, I advocated for myself. So I'm hugely into pay in full, but there are always exceptions. And I know that because I was one. And part of what I want for any coach or service provider listening is the exception they will make themselves known to you. She didn't suggest a payment plan. She was not like, how could I make this easy for you? I was like, let me tell you exactly what's happening. The 401k has already been cashed in and spent. There's this in savings, like 150. I have a car note. I don't know where I'm going to live in 2 weeks. I have, $100 to my name. I know if I work with you, we're going to make money fast. And by we, I mean me. And if you'll let me break it into a payment plan, I can do $1,500 paid tomorrow. So everyone listening, as a reminder, your exceptions, those who are like, they will reveal themselves to you and you will notice, or I want you to notice, you're not like trying to make it easy for them. You're not lowering your standards or otherwise trying to help them from a secret savior mentality. Like, they're saying, I just need a little support in this area, and then you get to decide if you're in. And she was like, yeah, man, I'll meet you there. And so that's what we did. And magic and miracles unfolded very quickly. And then I ended up reconnected. One of the magic and miracles was I ended up reconnected with my friend Melanie Childers, who I'd met at a Martha Beck life coaching event. I wasn't and still am not Martha Beck certified, but we met there and we became friends and we hadn't talked in forever. And I was like, hey, I'm teaching social media marketing to people. And she was like, I could use that. I'm coaching. And so then we reconnected and then she ended up coaching me. And then she introduced the model, the life coach school model, to me in a way that I'd heard the model 10,000 times before, but it clicked with her. I was like, oh, now I understand. And so then I got really cranky pants with some of my clients who I was currently working with because I was doing like social media marketing, and their willingness to change and have money. Like, I was helping them make money. I didn't know I'd be a money coach yet, by the way, you guys. Didn't know yet. That we didn't have the data that we now have. So I'm like helping them make money, and then they're freaking out and self-sabotaging. And I didn't like that. But when they hired me as a consultant for social media marketing, that's not consenting to coaching. They didn't hire me to show them their blind spots. So when I was like, do you think maybe that this is XYZ? And they were like, no. Because I'd been working with excellent coaches, I realized, like, yeah, they didn't hire me for coaching. They didn't hire me for like, hi, so-and-so, this is what we call self-sabotage, and this is the whole problem. Don't worry. I offered it anyways, and and I fired one of my clients. That was one of my favorite moments. That was maybe when I first stepped into coach energy inadvertently, but like, whatever. She was always late or this and that, and I remember being like, hey, we were having a meeting to discuss if we're terminating your contract early or not. So you need to be in this meeting at this time. She says, okay. And an hour after, she no-shows. And she was like, but my vendor was talking to me. And I was like, well, I'm not dealing with this. your vendor was talking to you for an extra hour and you couldn't interrupt them, I can't work with this. And that is when I decided I will only work with people who desire to grow to the extent that if their head is up their ass, they're like, I pay you to help me not do that. Like, tell me, show me a better way. Thus began my coaching career.
Now, you started out as a general life coach, correct? And
totally.
then have shifted
Uncertified.
into money.
Yes. So I was in love with the model and I was consuming free podcasts. And of course, I was also being coached and had transformed my whole life. Like in a few months from that first, actually, I think I can tell you for sure. Within 6 months of starting with that very first coach that I advocated needed the payment plan and then working with Melanie, I went from a little studio apartment to a gorgeous 1-bedroom on Rainy Street with a gorgeous view of Town Lake in Austin. If you know Austin, Rainy Street, you know that was an upgrade. And then I ended up meeting my now ex, but I have nothing but love for him. And we spent 3 years. We moved in together just over like a few months after we met. So I'm like, within 6 months from hiring my first coach, I was making money. I had signed like 2 or 3 different 10K clients, granted doing the social media, but still for me, that was a good haul and not like just 150 here or 500 there. I lived in a high rise on Rainy Street next to this new hot dude I was dating who would ask me to move in very like month 7. So my universe just took a U-turn. And so I'm evangelical about coaching because I'm like, when you're ready to change and you're willing to do some of the mindset work and just make changes, like the universe more than meets you halfway. It's like we do 30% and the universe is like, I got you for 70% of it. So it was just like, I coached people on relationships. Back to the money thing. She ended up getting like this sick new promotion and she works at Apple. So like, you know, most people have to advocate for promotions there. And they were like, we want to do a whole new thing. And like she and I coached on relationships. I coached with people on feeling comfortable in their own body. So it's, yes, I started general. I really just used the model. And then in my previous life, I'd like taught dance and in television production, you do a lot of reading people. So I gave myself permission and also Melanie, my phenomenal friend and coach, to recognize that I had all sorts of skills that came in handy in coaching that were already in my toolkit, if you will. I think often women, and certainly women of color, sometimes hold ourselves back because we're like, I need that certificate. I need external validation. And Melanie Childers gets big props as my friend and my coach for really helping me see, like, I got a lot of tools in the toolbox. And if I use them, it will behoove me and my clients. And if I don't, that's okay too. The patriarchy will be thrilled. So I was like, boop, 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 let's go to work.
And I do know that Melanie talks a lot about self-validation and how important it is to learn that, especially as you're coaching and as a business owner, because you're not going to get very far if you're constantly seeking somebody else to tell you how good you are at what you're doing.
Guys, it's just like dating. Like, it's so funny to me, but it's not. If you think of, like, unfortunately, an insecure, let's just pretend it's a 22-year-old insecure, when they are seeking validation from, like, when this person asked me out or when this person proposes, when they are seeking validation, they're moving through the world with this energy of, I need you to complete me. And when they're able to be like, whoa, I'm looking for a partner. Also, I'm awesome. That's just a different energy. And it's the same in coaching and business. Exactly. When we think our clients, like, I'll feel confident after I have this amount of clients or this amount in the bank. It's like we're asking our clients to do for us what is our job to do for us.
Now, I know in your story there were moments of basically putting yourself into debt in order to get more coaching.
So much debt. Yeah.
So much debt. And so a lot of this podcast is about the behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And that takes business debt.
Yes.
And
99% of the time.
And
if you're starting on a pile of money, no.
Yeah.
But most of us don't start from there.
No. And I think especially women or those who identify as women.
And those who come from working class families.
Yes.
Woot woot.
Anybody probably in any oppressed group.
Yes.
Sees their money as a small business owner or a solopreneur or a coach, the money that they generate from their business as like their money as opposed to their business money. And they can't separate out the debt from their business versus debt from them, personal debt. And probably have, like you and I, debt stories, bankruptcy stories. And so there's a lot of shame in there. So can you talk a little bit about your mindset when it comes to debt in general and business debt
just
as well?
love it. I just love money in general. So debt is just another form of money. Debt gives you access to money. Debt is money you pay for. Just like, I go to the supermarket because I'm not growing all my food. I'm happy to pay for it. Happy to. I have options. I can get a farm. I can grow my own shit. The better option is to go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. This is my choice. Okay. So debt is just money that we choose to have access to, and we're going to have to pay for it. That is all fair. Anyone who wants to whine about interest, I'm like, stop it. I don't want to hear it. So I filed a bankruptcy in 2008, and I had tried a small business that I just want to tell y'all was a brilliant idea. It was back sponsorship and my TV producer stuff. That just what happened is the TV stations decided really quickly they would do it in-house. So very quickly, my good idea became not possible. And I had racked up maybe $20,000, $30,000 in credit card debt. And when you add that to, I had like 20,000 in just basic bullshit credit card debt, I filed a bankruptcy. I was terrified. I could not fathom. So you guys tune in. 2008, Serena could not fathom clawing her way out of about $50K in debt. And I'm like, this version of me has had a $50K day repeatedly. Like, it's bananas. It's bananas. Granted, it's been a few years, but like still just so fun to be like, no, anything can happen, my friends. So I was drowning in shame for that bankruptcy for probably 8 or 9 years. I do not recommend that. It kept me small. It kept me hiding in plain sight. It kept me from living into my dreams. It took my brother's death for me to really understand everybody does not get 100 years on this planet. He was 47. So that was really a wake-up call for me. Like, you may think you have another 30 years to sort yourself. You may have 3. And so there was that clarity. And then when I got into coaching, I really decided, I loved it. I mean, I loved how it changed my life. I loved how I felt coaching. I loved witnessing, I still do, but my clients' results. So it all felt, and maybe it was a choice, but it all just felt like my whole life was leading up to this. This is what I've been looking for my whole life. And so then it was all in energy. I'm always amused when I use gambling terms a lot, which is really amusing to me because I don't think it's a gamble. I think it's the safest bet, as I roll my eyes and put it air quotes, possible. I'm like, here's a gamble, an employer. Because they can fold tomorrow, no wrongdoing on your part. And if you're old enough if you remember the 2008 market crash, which was not my bankruptcy, to be clear, but like, a bunch of good people who worked, never did anything wrong, were suddenly unemployed with thousands of other people in the same sector. So to me, being like, it's safe to have an employer, I don't believe that. I don't even believe, people say invest in real estate. I'm like, it's probably a good idea unless it's not, also like in 2008. So I think the safest option is for me to learn how to make money, which is what I did, which is what I now teach. But I just decided that was by far the safest. If I could, I did. And if you hear me, you can too, learn how to make money. It's like literacy. It's like learning how to read. Some people easier than others. Some people, if you're dyslexic, learning how to read is going to be a little more challenging. And yet once you learn how to read, you have freedom and options and opportunities, never ending. And I was like, that is my priority. Learning how to make money is my priority. Because if I pay off debt, that's like a closed loop. It's a closed circuit. Then I've paid off my debt, which is nice. Just, I still don't know how to make money. And if I prioritize learning how to make money with my brain, my business, whatever I choose to sell. Oh, by the way, I can pay off debt, but also it's a generative open circuit or generative circuit, if you will, that's like, that. So people freak out sometimes. So you guys, my thoughts about debt that I share, and I obviously can't tell me otherwise. Debts save lives and create opportunities. A friend of mine had a daughter who had open heart surgery. So debt saves lives and creates opportunities. That she's in a lot of debt, and she was very happy for the opportunity to say, sure, keep my girl, her daughter's fine. All of that to say, debt saves lives and creates opportunities. Also, debt allows people to create wealth. If you're thinking about people born into wealth, debt was definitely involved in the beginning. And debt is a completely neutral circumstance. It's our thoughts about it that color our experience of it. So the example I love to give, and it's ironic because I ended up just over $100,000 in debt before my business really took off. And I'll explain you guys, because if you're like, but I thought she filed a bankruptcy, how did she even have access? Exactly, like 39% interest on some of it. 39.99 interest. And I have no problem with any of that. I'm like, yes, I was considered high risk for them to give me money, and I didn't have a W-2 and I didn't have a home. I'm considered high risk. This is just basic business math. I also, in case you're like, what was she thinking? Here's what I was thinking. I'm going to make millions. So if I do end up spending a few $100s on a wild interest rate, no problem. It's going to come out in the wash. And I wasn't hoping, I was committed. I decided. I was like, do you know what solves for obscene interest rates? Making so much money. At some point, it was like, that was the best thing I did. So, I mean, maybe not the best thing, but I used to tell a story when I was still a general coach about it's our thoughts that create our reality, that like, look, on the planet, 2 different people woke up today, 2 different business owners, and they're both $100,000 in debt. And one of them is like, holy shit, we are down to $100,000. We are 100% in the black after we clear this last $100,000. Like, it has worked. It is working. We are effectively rich and bazillionaires. Go, go, go. Like, that's what they thought when they looked at that. Oh, wow, we're down to $100,000 in debt. And someone else woke up and was like, we are properly screwed. We are up to $100,000 in debt. It's never going to work. It's not working. We need to get out. And it's like the circumstance is the same. 2 different business owners both saw, I'm making this up, of course, but $100K on their Amex card. Which business owner do you think is going to thrive? Right. It's the first one. It's the one who's like, we're down to $100K. This is amazing. Not the one who's like, this is proof that everything is going wrong. And so to be clear, because I think sometimes people think, especially when they hear the story and there's tons of details, but they're like, oh shit, you were $100,000 between, it was about 70 in like credit card and unsecured bank loans and 30 in personal, meaning people, my mom, Matt, and Melanie. It was all my M's. To be clear, I wasn't like so casual, no problem. No, I was highly motivated. I was double down committed to learning how to make big, happy money. So it wasn't that I didn't ever wake up in the middle of the night. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. More than once, I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and now my ex, but Matt was asleep next to me, sleeping soundly. And I was like, holy guacamole, I have got to sell some coaching. But like when I'd wake up in the morning and get my coffee, instead of spiraling out in like a shame spiral or what's going to happen, I took charge. That's what happened. I was like, that's one of my most, I think ingrained at this point, intentional thoughts. I am in charge of making money in my business. No one else. Clients are not in charge of making money in my business for me. Former clients feel like I am in charge of this. My ex, my mom, my friend who loaned me money, the creditors, none of them are in charge of making money in my business. I am. And so when I got in that in charge energy, to me, it felt like being in the driver's seat of the vehicle instead of being in the passenger seat, being like, I don't like how you drive. I was like, let me crawl in the driver's seat. And the thought was just, it's time to make money. It's time to make money. And then the height of my debt was November of 2020. I was probably 105, 106. I stopped counting. When I got right to 100, I was like, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's time to make money. That's all. Like, and everyone, if you're like, what was she investing in? The reason 25K threw me over 100K. I invested 25K to be in a mastermind. I'd already invested in another mastermind that I've been making money on, but I felt very, very strongly that it was what I for a year, I was like, I'm going to get in this mastermind. I'm going to make a ton of money. And that is exactly what happened before I even started the mastermind. It's almost like our thoughts create our reality, because of what I had to do to get in there. I kept telling myself, I'm just a CEO. I'm just figuring things out. Again, it involved borrowing money. And I think it's relevant. My partner at the time, now my ex, not because of this, but was like not cool with the investment. He was always my biggest cheerleader, but he was like, I think you've gone too far this time. So I want to point out, sort of like what you said, and back to the driver's seat, it was like, that was not happy times. And it wasn't fun to hear, but it was like, I get to respect his point, and I get to respect that I'm in the driver's seat and I know why I made this investment, and I'm still all in, and I have doubled down on me. And guys, literally a couple of weeks later, by the grace of God, I think I signed 2 clients at 10K. And one morning he was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Like, I know you're feeling the pressure, and like, I know you're going to clear, like, he got it, if you will. He was like, now I get it. I've seen you build something out of nothing. Like, I know what I said a few weeks ago. Sorry for that. And I was like, no problem. Like, we were fine. Like, in the next 2 weeks, I ultimately sold 110 cash collected in coaching. So I'm like, I'm happy he said that at the beginning, that he didn't have to. I'm happy he said it when it was on his heart, because it would have been weird if he said it afterwards, but he said it before the selling spree really got started. And yeah, I literally went from November 2020, 100 something all in debts to 110K December of 2020, followed by like 75 or 80. I stopped counting in January of 2021. Same thing in February of 21. Like, it was just like, okay, turns out now I know how to make money. I figured it. So yeah, when I'm debt, guys, like, debt is not necessarily bad. Also, debt is not necessarily good. Just being in debt does not magically mean you're going to make money. Being in debt does not magically entitle you to money making. Trust me, I filed bankruptcy in 2008 because I was like, long as I just keep going, something will work out. And then I was like, oops, that didn't work out. Okay. So again, debt is a neutral circumstance. It's a tool. It's like fire. It's like water. It can do amazing things if you're, yielding it with power and paying attention. It can do very horrible things.
I think it's funny because when somebody opens up a business, say a bookstore or a restaurant, there's no doubt in anybody's mind that they're going to have business debt to buy the oven or the bookshelves or anything like that.
Pay the mortgage or the rent.
The overhead costs.
Yep.
I don't think people realize that being a coach, there are overhead costs. They're
Your
just
brain.
not as, exactly. They're not as tangible. Doing masterminds, doing trainings, whatever it is that you want to do to learn from others, mentors who, you are honoring with money and not just being like, can you teach me for free? People just don't see that. And which I think is where the
behind the scenes. Yep. Yes. There's a shame. And I also want to point out, because we know each other. Like, look, if you were socialized as a female, there's a 98% chance that mostly you were given lessons that you're not good with money. Even now we all we on this podcast roll our eyes at the whole, like, stop buying a latte and you can save up for retirement. Shush. How about you make so much money? You can, do you know how many lattes I buy? However many the fuck I want. That's like, do you know what I mean? Like,
especially now that there's little hearts on them.
I know, they've been putting heart stickers at my Starbucks. They're giving me life. Oh, but like, I feel like it's, I had a client recently, so I'll share this. She was like, I'm 20,000 in debt and I just need to get out of debt. And I'm like, this is such low hanging fruit. Like, I'm annoyed. The patriarchy lives for this shit. What I want to hear you say is, I need to be making an extra 200K. That'll solve for the 20K in debt and everything else. And we get to be a resource. It's like we've been trained to settle for crumbs and say, thank you, back to working class. I love my family. I love every inch of them. Every version of me being raised, even when I was a television producer and like I'd get recommended for a show and my mom would be like, call your old boss who recommended you and send them treats. And like, she loves me and she's being kind. But the implication was I owe them. And I offer, my old boss referred me because they were doing their other friend a favor. Do you know what I mean? Like, they weren't doing me a favor. They were like, girl, go hire Serena. You're welcome. And yet as women, it's, you get it. It's like, it took me a minute to catch that. At first I was like, oh, thank you for recommending me. And first of all, I always say thank you. I actually mean that. But like, recognizing this is a win-win-win. This behooves all of us. And it's like, this whole obsess over 10 or 20K of debt is a lot like, it serves the patriarchy at the same level as if a woman obsesses with losing the last 5 pounds for most of her life, instead of just being like, F it, I look good. Or a woman or anyone is allowed to do what they want with their body, but like deciding if they're really like, I'm losing this last 5 pounds, then they do it once. They don't noodle with it and let it take up hours of their day for decades of their life. And I feel like debt is supposed to be our distraction, like that last 5 pounds. We're supposed to constantly be confused and constantly, feeling pure and clean when we're out of it. Instead of doing what all the boys have been doing for a very long time, which is recognizing it is a tool. You can use it for good or evil. It's up to you. But like, if you have a business and it's not already making millions, you might want to invest in training and or support so that you can make even more money.
Something you just said in there reminded me of a thought that I've been dealing with recently. And then it kind of comes back to our discussion on the self-validation. But there are certain people that occasionally I will say, I owe the success of my current business to. And then I have to stop myself and I go,
No.
oh, no. It's because I did a really fucking good job for them that they then want to do a favor for their friends and refer. So yes, I am very grateful to those individuals, but I don't owe them.
No, you do not.
Yeah, I think coaches can think of that too when it comes to referrals. You don't, your clients didn't, you don't owe it to your clients referrals. Yeah.
Correct. It's because they want to. So like, full disclosure, you guys, I rave about Jackie all the time, but like, so we're clear. Yeah. Cause I think I get like points. Because people are like, oh my God, Jackie's amazing. I'm like, I know. So I'm happy to connect you with good people. I would never send someone who sucks over to you, and vice versa. Nice. Well, I do like you, but vice versa. I would never make a referral. And then back to what you said, it's also interesting because this is a thing that I'm lately like, how do I share this? I once like connected with someone who basically asked for a referral from me or testimonial, and I declined because I did not have a neutral or pleasant experience. And I'm like, they're fine. But I was like, no, I don't lie. I make referrals and recommendations based on truth only. So I just declined. And they like emailed me and was like, you have no right to deny me a testimonial and deny me. And I remember thinking, she seems confused. She seems to think that I am in charge of growing her business. And we're back to my thought. You alone, whoever you are, whatever business you do, you're in charge of growing your business. Like, she is in charge of growing her business, not people who have paid her and are like, no, it's not the right fit. Also, I love that you noticed that. So everyone listening again, like, it's not like, oh my God, I owe the growth of my business to this person. You owe it to yourself because the reason they recommended you was you. So like taking that ownership, which again, good women, especially in the Western world, were trained to be humble, air quotes, and like be demure and, you know, not receive and own and accept accolades to be like, well, that's because... And it's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. We serve everyone involved by owning. Like, yeah, I did do that. Mm-hmm.
There's a section in Abby Wambach's Wolfpack where she talks about being on the stage at the ESPY Awards with two very well-known male athletes and being grateful for being in the room. And then as she's walking off the stage, she's like, wait a minute, they're set up for the rest of their retirement and I now have to find a new job.
Yes.
Stop being grateful for being in the room.
Crumbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Crumbs. It's how we were raised. So like, again, respect to all of our ancestors. It's like, look, they were surviving and they were surviving in very complicated, sophisticated systems. But that to me is why our thriving is so important. It's not just for the young people who we love and care for and want them to have different opportunities. To me, it honors our ancestors. All of us have grandmothers, mothers probably, if we're honest. We'll just keep it very general on this podcast. We all have grandmothers who didn't have half the opportunities we have. And I'm like, why don't we honor them? Why don't we honor them by doing things that they maybe didn't even dream they'd get to do?
I was just talking to my partner the other night about, Renaissance Italy. And I made the comment, if I had a choice, I'd be a courtesan because my only other choices were a nun and a wife. And the courtesan got me into the library and I could talk politics if I wanted to. It was allowed. And he's like, wait a minute, those are the only choices? I was like, literally, those were the three choices you had. Yes.
Like, that's crazy. And that was like not a long time ago.
No, it really wasn't.
I like our choices now.
Yes, we have so many more, thankfully. You started out as a life coach, a general life coach, and then you learned that money mindset was really where you were. And now you are teaching in a mastermind, a group coaching program. When did you decide that the one-on-one model needed to transition into a group container? So one of the things that I'm good at, which no doubt comes from starting my career as a journalist, MTV News, is watching, learning. That's what I do. And I noticed that two of my most favorite mentors, they like sold out their one-on-one. I mean, prior to me coming into their orbit, but like they sold out their one-on-one and then they flipped into group. And I like that. I think it is the most elegant order of things because, I started at 5K, I raised to 10K. I realized business and money making are definitely where I love to help people, for all the reasons. And so then I was 10K and then I went up to 15K because I was fully booked in that February of 2021. And then I kept signing people. So I went up to 20K for 6 months. And then it was like, this is a efficiency issue. If I had, so I was 20 clients. So I was like, if I keep a 20 client full one-on-one roster at 20K, that's going to be what, 800 a year, 800K. That's, significantly more than I'd ever considered fathoming. So
was like, I could live very comfortably at 800K. But it was also like, but I will only be able to serve 20, possibly 40 clients. Like if no one re-upped. So I'll have this impact, and they each have an impact in their communities and their families and their world. So like I'm into it. But it was like, we kind of max out at 40. And I thought, or I can get into a group where at some point I've got 50 people in each group. So that's like 50. I mean, that's more people there. And back to the money. So I was like, okay, so I wanted to be able to serve, 20K for 6 months of one-on-one. I have no problem with that. I'm into it. People charge lots more. I do not believe, you guys, if you follow me in Big Happy Money, I'm not like, let's worry about making it affordable for everyone everywhere. But I was like, yeah, but when I do the group, I'm going to make more money, serve even more humans, in my opinion, even more powerfully. Because to thrive in a group, you got to manage your brain. Like it's a next level game. So it was like, I'm going to really support the leaders who are really making an impact in their family, in their community, in their business, in their school system. So that felt good and juicy and even more impactful. And at the same time, I have not announced it or opened it yet, but I have a lower ticket offer that'll be $3K. Like you pay once, you have lifetime access, and it should be opening up in the spring. So it's not like I want to accommodate everyone, but I'm also like, yeah, people can come in there, learn how to make a few $100,000. And if it is in their pleasure, then join my mastermind, my group, which currently is $15K for 6 months. Soon will be $25K for 6 months. Or they can just stay in that pay one time and get benefits from there. So I think it sort of shifted into like, how can I support even more people, even more powerfully, and not exhaust myself and not be a part of hustle culture? How do I get even more efficient? And that was the answer, was we're going to flip into group because I have 1 call a week with my group. And granted, I'm on Facebook in between, but like it is exponentially less work hours than when I had 20 call hours a week. Yeah.
And you're not as tied to hours equaling dollars. Not at all.
Not at all. I have 1 call hour a week. That is my actual commitment. And that's, my last enrollment, I brought in like 300 something thousand. I don't know whatever. I'm not going to do the math, but almost $400,000 for 1 hour a week for 6 months. Like it's a sweet deal for me. And I fundamentally believe it's a sweet deal for them. Like they get me as a coach and I'm all in on them, but they get each other. And the added value in that room, I cannot overstate the added value. Like also I do a lot of bonus classes. So for those who don't know me, money is a mindset issue. Like currency is a frequency. It's not about perfectionism. I'm a hot mess is my point. So I just do lots of bonus classes. Like we did one earlier today. Like I'm like, okay, next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Go. Come see me. Don't see me. I'll put it in your client portal. So it's like they do get more than an hour a week. But what's so powerful is we have a real team mentality in there, meaning every time someone wins, it's like we all just won. And yeah, that's my why. I was an efficiency / how can I be even more effective and not wear myself out? How can I play the long game and fuck up the patriarchy all the way? Mm-hmm. How can I? It's like a military operation in my head. How do we win this war? Well, if I'm on the field in one place, we're not likely to win. I need to pull back, train the people who will train the people. That part.
So you're getting ready to launch or open enrollment for the 3rd round of Big Happy Money Mastermind
3.0.
3.0. What lessons have you learned from the first and the second launch that you're applying to this 3rd one?
Okay. This is my 3rd launch and it feels like the first time I'm actually getting my footing. Like I feel like I got my footing, but it comes and goes. So I'm like, I think I'm getting my footing. The biggest lesson that I learned in my first launch that I think is the hardest for each of us as we flip from one-on-one, which is so obvious between you do the one-on-one consult and like, you're going to see them at least an hour a week or whatever your offer is. People want this too. My insecurities that used to exist at the beginning of my coaching business, especially as a coach, if you start and you're selling one-on-one, which I think is, Jackie knows this. My dad had horses, like country, y'all, not classy horses, country horses. And I was taught to ride bareback because if you can learn without a saddle, by the time you put a saddle on, you can ride anything, no problem. So same. It's like for all the adults in the room, it's like learning how to drive a stick shift because then you can drive an automatic, no problem. So that's how I feel about learning to sell one-on-one coaching. It's a real thing. And when you learn how to do it, you're like, okay, now I can do anything. I think the problem is when I went to selling group, I forgot that. And I see that in so many of my coaches who can sell one-on-one and they're like, group is different. I'm like, it's really not. It's really not. It's literally the same thing, my friend. So I lost my confidence, not in my coaching, not in the value of what I offered, but just in it was selling something new. I don't know. I suppose it's like if you go to high school and you thought you kind of were pretty awesome, and then you go to college and you're like surrounded by a bunch of other people who were pretty awesome in high school. You can have a little confidence crisis. So what I definitely learned from 1 and 2 is my clients want to work with me, and my clients know that. Even when I have my head mostly up my ass and I'm insecure and this and that and typos and not even getting half of my marketing materials out on time, they still show up, sign up, pay in full, and get results. Most importantly, their businesses are booming. And so I'm like, oh, the other thing that I've learned, I think more fully, that I want everyone listening to just decide this is true for you too, because it is. Your clients come to you for you. Not even the parts of you that you like the most, the parts of you that you're still trying to work through your shame on. So for me, I'm sort of a hot mess on a regular basis, but also I'm very smart. Like, I also want to hold space for, like, guys, I make jokes, but I'm not just a hot mess. I'm brilliant when I'm not a hot mess. But, like, I think that's my added value. More and more and more, when I see my clients blooming and showing up, it's like, like me, they were raised to be a good girl, to be a helper. And that meant all sorts of invisible rules and how to be perfect and how to dress perfect and how to speak perfect. And if you're not perfect, you should hide in shame for a week. And instead, they're just showing up and serving. So, of course, they're signing more clients for even more money. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, me allowing myself to be imperfect and still choosing to love myself, still choosing to stand in the value of what I offer, even when, there was another typo on the email. Even when, I think, literally gives them permission to do the same. So it's like, of course, we're all booming our businesses. We're no longer requiring ourselves to become the most perfect version of ourselves. We're just requiring ourselves to, like, make sure it's valuable. Okay, good, go.
Well, and I think when you said, your clients are there for you, all of you, it doesn't really matter what you offer, they're there for you. And we have a perfect example out there in the coaching world right now where somebody's like, I was selling a mastermind and now I'm not. Yes. And I can't tell you what it is that I'm going to offer you, but it's going to be awesome. And line out the door.
Literally my coach. If anyone's confused, here's what I just did. And just so you're clear, here's what went down in my brain. She was like, it's still $20,000. We're not starting in April. We're starting in June. I don't know what it is. And I was like, oh, okay, fun. That was it. That's $20K. Granted, I have a lot more money than I used to, but even if it was a huge, wild stretch, I suppose it was a huge, wild stretch and I was very actively in I have to learn how to make money as a priority, I might have considered things differently. But it's also like, she's just following the spirit of her business, which is like, you're in or you're out, no problem. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was sharing with clients, I'm like, look, we all hire coaches for different reasons, but I know I hire her for permission to be more of myself. And so for me, that just modeled all over again, because I have a brain, obviously, brain was like, what if she decides you just get one private 30-minute phone call? And that's your $20K. And that's exactly right. Jackie did a shoulder shrug. I remember thinking it'll be worth way more than $20K. Like, that was my decision. Like, well, then I'll make $200K from whatever we talk about those 30 minutes.
Well, and I think that comes back to a lot of the things that I've heard you say in your groups of, you decide what you get out of this.
Yes. Always.
You may
10X.
Not be part of the coaching. You may not get coached on this call or whatever it happens to be, but you get to decide what you're taking out of this.
You get to be in charge. You get to take charge of your business. Yes. I decided, I read, I think it's Grant Cardone's book, and I don't know that I'd recommend it. It's real bro-y, and I'm sure in the last year or so, he's had to make some edits. But here's the value that I want to offer to you guys. He's talking about 10Xing everything. And I read the whole book and walked away, and I was like, here's what I'm 10Xing. Anytime I invest in my business, I get a 10X plus sign return. Hard stop at the end. That is my decision. I've never been proven wrong. I don't exhale when I see it happen, if you will. My 25K mastermind investment, I made $480K over the 6 months after I made that investment. I didn't exhale after I saw my $250 return, if you will. I just remember when I finally collected all of the credit cards and money and paid, I remember thinking, I just bought myself $250K in business. Guys, if I get my fake lashes done, it's like $120. I'm like, I just bought myself another $1,000 worth of clients. It's like, whatever I spend money on, I'm like, multiply that by 10. I just reserved at least that amount of money at the end.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your mastermind in case anybody is interested in joining? Because I know that you focus now a lot more on coaches in the mastermind. And so people listening to this are probably going to be interested in it.
Okay, amazing. So basically I live to train the trainers. When I taught dance class, I was always thrilled with every student. But anytime someone's like, I'm a teacher, I was like, awesome. Take this shit in and get it out in the world. So I love coaching. I fundamentally believe coaching is changing the world. It's how we change the world just on so many levels. That is a separate conversation for a separate day. So it is my deepest honor and pleasure to have this container that is mostly focused on coaches, but there are exceptions, and anyone who's an exception and self-identifies to me, I will hear you out. It's just a matter of I'm not going to constantly translate if someone's like, but I have a massage business, into how exactly the concept translates to them. But if they're like, no, I can connect the dots, then they're going to shockingly thrive. Big Happy Money, to be really clear, you guys, it's not really about money. Big Happy Money is the inevitable result of when you love and trust yourself on a whole deeper level and are more connected to the divine, whatever that means to you. Put that in your interpretation. Quantum, if you must use science words, spirit, whatever you need to hear. But like when you partner with the divine and you say, let me be a vessel, work through me, help me heal this world. And you're not pretending that you alone are in charge of everything other than your business. Your business is your vessel, if you will, but like, that's it. Then it's like, we have to practice again, radical self-love, like me owning my flaws and not pretending that they take away from my features, and radical self-trust, not just in ourselves, but also in our clients. Because when we don't trust our clients, we're trying to like make it easy on them and price low and over deliver in a way that sometimes is over caretaking, which is enabling, which is not seeing them as sovereign, capable creatures and speaking to that version of them. So when you get the first two in line, Big Happy Money is the inevitable result. And also, to be clear, it's not 1, 2, and then 3. It all happens at the same time. So it's like we heal while we grow our business, and make money is a part of that, guys. But also we grow our business and make money because we're healing, like while we're healing. They're both feeding each other. It's like a really positive feedback loop. So if that's interesting to any of you guys, go to serenahicks.com. Follow me. I'm on XOXO, Serena Hicks at Instagram. I'm at Facebook as Serena Hicks AF. And applications, enrollment will open on Monday, March 28th and Tuesday, March 29th. It's $15K pay in full investment. We begin in June. We will have a 3-day virtual live training event. And then we're going to come together 3 months later in September. Is that 3? I think that's right. Halfway through. So it's a June through December. And by grace of Omicron, I canceled our live in person for this 6-month container, but now we're getting together 3 months in. And I'm like, that's my new hotness. We're going to do 3 days of online virtual training from the comfort of where you are. And of course, weekly sessions, blah, blah, blah. But halfway through, we're going to meet in person for 3 days and keep the momentum going.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on here and talking to me today.
Thank you for having me, Jackie.
Thank you.